Have you ever popped open a can of sardines, and paused for a second? Maybe the smell hit you, or maybe it was the way the fish just sat there, bones, skin, oil and all. And you asked yourself, is this really good for me? Or maybe you've been at the store, staring at the seafood section, fresh sardines laid out on ice, clean, silvery, glistening, and you wondered, should I go for those instead? But they cost more. Do they actually make a difference? You're not alone. These are the quiet little questions we all ask, especially as we get older and start thinking about our health a little more seriously. Because food isn't just food anymore, it becomes medicine, or it becomes poison. And here's the truth most people don't talk about: not all sardines are created equal. One might help support your bones and heart. The other? It could be slowly pushing your blood pressure in the wrong direction. One might fuel your body with real, usable omega-3s. The other might be hiding behind a label full of salt, preservatives, and lost nutrients. And yet, we rarely think about it. We eat what's easy. We eat what's cheap. We eat what we've always eaten. But let me ask you this: if you knew that one small choice, just choosing fresh over canned, or the right brand over the wrong one, could help you stay stronger, more energetic, even protect your brain, would you still just eat what's convenient? Because when it comes to aging well, staying sharp, and living fully in our later years, it's the small, everyday choices that make the biggest difference. In today's video, we're peeling back the label, literally and figuratively, on canned sardines versus fresh sardines. We're going to talk about the nutrients that matter, the dangers that most people miss, and the health facts that could honestly add years to your life. And no, it's not all bad news. You'll walk away with simple, clear advice you can actually use in your kitchen today. But first, I want to hear from you. Do you eat sardines? If you do, type "sardine lover" in the comments below so I know you're part of this journey. And if you're someone who cares deeply about your health, or the health of someone you love, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. Because here, we talk about the things that truly matter for seniors: one bite, one breath, one small change at a time. Now, let's get into it. The truth might surprise you. Let me tell you a quick story. Mr. Harold, 76 years old, retired electrician from Indiana, swore by his daily can of sardines. Every morning, like clockwork, he'd toast a slice of rye bread, open a can, and pile those little fish on top. He believed it was his secret to staying strong. He'd say, "I don't need no multivitamin. I've got my sardines." But then, during a routine checkup, his doctor ran some blood tests. Low in vitamin B12. Low in vitamin D. Omega-3 levels below average. And Harold was shocked. How is that even possible? I eat sardines every day. Here's the thing, not all sardines are equal. Yes, canned sardines are a decent source of protein. They're convenient. They last a long time. But when it comes to nutrient density, fresh sardines quietly take the lead. Why? Because fresh sardines are usually grilled or lightly cooked, preserving their natural omega-3 fats, vitamin D, and B12 in a way that canned versions simply can't. Canned sardines, especially the ones packed in oil or tomato sauce, go through high heat processing. And heat-sensitive nutrients, like vitamin B12 and D, don't always survive that process. So, while you think you're getting all those heart-healthy benefits, your body might only be absorbing a fraction of what you believe. And that brings us to a common mistake, assuming the label tells the whole story. You see omega-3 printed in bold on the can, and you think you're covered. But the form of those fats, the quality, not just the quantity, matters even more as we age. Your digestive system changes. Your body's ability to absorb nutrients changes. So even a small difference in nutrient quality can impact your energy, memory, and even your immune system. But don't panic. This doesn't mean you have to toss all your cans in the trash. Canned sardines still have value. The solution? Balance. Try this, alternate. One day, enjoy the ease of a canned sardine lunch. Later in the week, bake or grill a batch of fresh sardines with herbs and lemon. Even twice a week is enough to get those powerful nutrients in a more natural form. Because the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be smart. And when you're smart about food, especially as you age, it starts working for you, not against you. But, nutrients aren't the only thing you should be thinking about. There's another quiet culprit hiding in that little tin. Something that affects millions of seniors, every single day. Sodium. Let me share a story that stuck with me for years. It was a quiet afternoon in Sarasota, Florida, when an elderly woman named Mrs. Lila, 84 years old, sharp as ever, still loved playing cards with her church group, was rushed to the ER. She'd been feeling lightheaded, dizzy, her ankles were swelling, and her heart felt like it was fluttering. Her family thought maybe she was dehydrated or coming down with something. But after a few tests, the doctors found the real issue: her sodium levels were dangerously high. And the strangest part? The only major change in her diet was sardines. She had started eating canned sardines almost every day, thinking they were a healthy, protein-rich snack. She even skipped her regular chips and crackers, thinking this was the better choice. And it should have been, except for the hidden salt. See, most canned sardines pack in anywhere from 300 to 500 milligrams of sodium per serving. And depending on the brand or what it's packed in, oil, tomato sauce, mustard, that number can climb even higher. Now, for a healthy young person, that might not raise too many red flags. But for seniors? It's a different story. As we age, our kidneys don't flush out sodium as efficiently. Our blood vessels become more sensitive. And if you're already managing high blood pressure, heart failure, or even early-stage kidney disease, that extra sodium builds up fast. One can here, one can there, it adds up. And here's a common belief I hear a lot: oh, I just rinse them under water. That gets rid of the salt. Now yes, rinsing helps. It can remove some of the surface sodium, especially from the sauce. But it doesn't eliminate what's been cooked into the flesh of the fish during processing. You're still getting most of that sodium, even if you rinse. So, what can you do? Simple. Start reading the labels. Look for canned sardines that say, low sodium or no salt added. They're out there, you just have to look a little harder. And if you're watching your blood pressure closely, it may be even smarter to go for fresh sardines, where you control the seasoning. Roast them with garlic and lemon, or steam them lightly with herbs, no salt needed. You'll still get the flavor, the protein, the healthy fats, without that sneaky sodium tagging along. And here's the truth: most seniors don't feel the effects of sodium until it's too late. A little dizziness here, a little swelling there. Until it turns into something more serious. So be proactive. Take a closer look at what's really inside that can. Because your heart, your brain, your kidneys, they're all depending on the little choices you make each day. And while salt is sneaky, there's something even sneakier hiding in that little tin. Something most people never think about. Let's open the lid on that next. Let me tell you about Edna. She's 81, lives with her daughter in a quiet suburb, and still bakes the best banana bread you'll ever taste. But a few months ago, something started to bother her. Every time she finished her lunch, usually something light like a few crackers, a bit of fruit, and her favorite, canned sardines, she'd feel this strange stiffness in her fingers. A dull ache in her knees. At first, she thought it was just aging. We all do, right? But then she started to notice a pattern. The pain got worse after meals. Not every meal, just certain ones. And it wasn't the sardines themselves. It was what came with them. You see, most people don't realize that when you eat canned sardines, you're not just eating fish. You're also consuming whatever chemicals, metals, or residues were sealed inside that can. Let's start with BPA, bisphenol A. It's a chemical used in the lining of many canned foods, especially older or cheaper brands. And studies have linked BPA exposure to joint inflammation, hormone disruption, and even increased risk of certain cancers. Now, many companies are moving toward BPA-free packaging. But here's the problem, they don't always say it clearly. Some use vague phrases like BPA-reduced or non-intent BPA, which still might mean traces are there. And then, there's mercury and cadmium, trace heavy metals that can build up in the body over time. Now sardines are considered low mercury compared to bigger fish like tuna or swordfish. But not all sardines are created equal. Older cans, off-brand imports, and fish caught in polluted waters can carry higher levels of contaminants. Especially if the companies aren't strict about their testing. And here's the kicker, many seniors trust the label blindly. They see the words, wild-caught or Mediterranean and assume that means pure or clean. But wild-caught just means it wasn't farmed. It says nothing about the water quality, the handling process, or whether the fish was screened for toxins. So, what can you do about it? Start by choosing brands that are transparent. Look for clear markings. BPA-free, heavy metal tested, or certified sustainable. Go for sardines packed in olive oil or spring water, not flavored sauces, which often have more additives. And when in doubt, choose fresh. Fresh sardines, from a reputable source, are far less likely to carry these hidden threats. And when you prepare them yourself, you control everything, no chemical lining, no mystery sauce, no factory leftovers sealed in for months. It's a small shift, but one that can protect your joints, your hormones, and even your long-term health. Because what's hidden in the can may not show up right away. But it accumulates, slowly, silently. Still, let's not forget, canned sardines aren't all bad. In fact, there's one powerful benefit they have that most people overlook, especially important for aging bones and muscles. Let me introduce you to Marge. She's 79, a retired schoolteacher, always wearing pearls and never misses her Tuesday book club. A few years back, she was diagnosed with early-stage osteoporosis. Nothing too serious, but enough to get her thinking. Her doctor said, "You need more calcium, Marge." And in true Marge fashion, she said, "Well, I'll just eat sardines every day." Smart idea, right? Sardines are known to be rich in calcium. But here's where it gets interesting. Marge had no idea there was a difference between the canned kind and the fresh kind, especially when it comes to calcium. You see, canned sardines, bones and all, are little calcium powerhouses. One small can can give you over 300 milligrams of calcium, which is a big deal for older adults. That's more than what you get in a glass of milk. Why? Because when sardines are canned, the pressure cooking process softens the bones, so soft, you can eat them without even noticing. And those bones are packed with calcium, phosphorus, and other minerals that help keep your bones strong and your joints supported. Now with fresh sardines, it's a different story. Unless you eat the bones, and let's be honest, most people don't, you're not getting nearly the same calcium boost. And chewing on raw bones? That's not exactly appetizing for most folks, especially if your teeth aren't what they used to be. So, here's the common mistake many people make. They open a can, see the tiny bones, and scoop them out. They think they're doing the right thing, making it easier to chew or more pleasant to eat. But those little bones are gold, and tossing them is like throwing away the best part. Now, I'm not saying you have to eat sardines every day like Marge wanted to. But including canned sardines with bones once or twice a week? That's one of the simplest, most natural ways to boost your calcium without needing a pill. And if you prefer fresh sardines, no problem. You can still get some calcium, just cook them slowly. Try baking them with lemon and olive oil, or gently braise them in a tomato-based sauce. The longer, lower heat cooking helps soften the bones, making them easier to eat. Or better yet, pair your fresh sardines with other calcium-rich foods. Add a side of steamed broccoli. Have a little plain yogurt afterward. It's not just about one ingredient, it's about how you build your plate. Because when it comes to protecting your bones, especially as you age, you can't afford to guess. Calcium keeps you standing tall, steady on your feet, and doing the things you love, whether that's gardening, walking the dog, or dancing at your grandson's wedding. But of course, none of this matters if making the meal feels like a chore. And that brings us to one last thing that's especially important as we get older: convenience. Let's talk about Frank. He's 84 years old, a retired train conductor who still wakes up before sunrise every morning. Frank lives alone. His kids visit when they can, but most days, it's just him, his crossword puzzles, and a small kitchen he doesn't use much. Now Frank's always been practical. He doesn't like fuss, doesn't want to spend hours in the kitchen, and definitely doesn't want to wash more dishes than necessary. So for years, his lunch was the same: a can of sardines, a slice of bread, maybe an apple. Quick, simple, done. But one day, his neighbor brought over some fresh sardines, grilled, seasoned with lemon and parsley. Frank took one bite and said, "I forgot what real flavor tasted like." He wasn't being dramatic. He meant it. You see, fresh sardines are a whole different experience. They're rich, tender, full of flavor. They're not sitting in a salty bath or squished into a can. They're fish the way nature intended them, clean, vibrant, and alive with nutrients. But here's the other side of it. Fresh sardines don't last long. They spoil quickly, they need refrigeration, and they need to be cleaned and cooked. For someone like Frank, living alone, with limited energy and mobility, that's not always realistic. And this is where many people, especially seniors, fall into a trap. They assume that what's convenient must be better, because it's easy. But let's be honest, we live in a world where convenience often comes with a hidden cost. Fast food is convenient. Sugary snacks are convenient. Even processed canned foods can feel like the right choice because they're quick. But quick isn't always best. And easy doesn't always mean healthy. That said, convenience isn't the enemy either. Sometimes, it's necessary, especially when you're tired, you live alone, or you simply don't have the strength or time to cook from scratch every day. And that's perfectly okay. The key is balance. There's absolutely nothing wrong with keeping canned sardines in your pantry. They're shelf-stable, budget-friendly, and full of useful nutrients. But if you can, try working in some fresh sardines once or twice a week. Here's a simple tip: buy fresh sardines in bulk when they're available and freeze them in small portions. Label the bags by date, and take out just what you need. You'll always have a fresh option waiting, and it's just as easy to grab from the freezer as a can from the shelf. Or do what Frank does now: canned sardines on weekdays, fresh on Sundays when his daughter comes over and helps with the cooking. It's a rhythm that works. Because when it comes to your health, it's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Choosing the option that fits your lifestyle, your needs, and your goals. So, after all this, what's the final verdict? Is canned better? Is fresh the winner? Well, that answer might surprise you. Let's break it down together. You know, it's not always easy making the right food choices as we get older. There's so much information out there. So many labels. So many promises. And sometimes, even opening a can of sardines feels like a decision that somehow matters more than it used to. Because the truth is, every bite counts now. It's not just about filling your stomach, it's about protecting your heart, strengthening your bones, keeping your mind clear, staying independent. So yes, something as simple as choosing between canned or fresh sardines can feel like a heavy decision. And I want you to know, you're not alone in feeling that way. So many older adults, people just like you, are asking these same quiet questions. Am I doing the right thing for my body? Am I making the best choice for my future? But here's the good news, you don't need to be afraid of the wrong choice. Because what you've done today, watching this video, learning, thinking about your food more carefully, that's not fear. That's preparedness. That's power. That's you taking your health into your own hands in the most beautiful way. And it doesn't require perfection. Just a little more awareness. A little more curiosity. A willingness to look beyond the label. So, here's what I want you to do, something simple. Go take a look in your pantry. Do you have canned sardines? Great. Now ask yourself, can you switch things up this week? Can you introduce one fresh fish meal, maybe even fresh sardines, into your routine? It's not about doing it all. It's about doing what you can, where you are, with what you have. Because every positive change, no matter how small, adds up. And the best part? You're not too late. You're just getting started. You have the tools now. You've got the knowledge. And more importantly, you've got the heart. You don't need to overhaul your whole lifestyle. You just need to keep making those wise, mindful decisions, one bite at a time. Let's take a quick moment to recap everything we've covered today. We talked about the nutritional showdown, how fresh sardines edge out in vitamins and healthy fats, while canned ones still hold value. We uncovered the hidden sodium risks in canned varieties, especially for heart health and blood pressure. We peeled back the truth on preservatives and toxins, like BPA and heavy metals. And how fresh options give you more control. We looked at bone support and calcium, and how canned sardines with bones are a secret superfood for seniors. And finally, we explored the real-life trade-off between convenience and freshness, and why balance is the smartest choice. Each version, canned or fresh, has its place. But now you know how to make those decisions wisely. Now I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which do you prefer, canned or fresh? And why? Have you noticed a difference in how you feel when you eat one over the other? Let's start a healthy, respectful conversation down there. Your insight might just help someone else today. And if you found this video helpful, if it made you think a little deeper about what's on your plate, go ahead and tap that like button. It tells the platform that content like this matters. And more importantly, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide for more conversations like this. Because here, we believe that aging doesn't mean giving up control, it means gaining wisdom. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for caring about your health and your future. And until next time, stay wise. Stay well. And I'll see you in the next video.